Have you ever felt like you were running from something? A deep, nagging feeling you can't quite name, but you know it's there. You fill your life with noise, with work, with entertainment, with anything to keep the silence away. We are taught that a busy life is a good life, that a full calendar is a sign of success. We believe that if we just keep moving fast enough, the shadows will never catch up to us. But this is the first great lie we tell ourselves. The thing we are running from is not a monster in the dark. It is not failure, or poverty, or loneliness. It is something far more personal and far more terrifying to the unprepared mind. We are running from the truth. Not the truth of the world, but the truth of ourselves. We are afraid of what we might find if we ever stopped, turned around, and simply looked. This fear dictates our choices, our beliefs, and the very shape of our lives, often without our permission or our knowledge. To avoid this confrontation, we build a comfortable prison and call it reality. We surround ourselves with people who think like us, who look like us, and who affirm our beliefs without question. This is the safety of the crowd. In this shared space, popular opinions feel like facts, and common goals feel like divine purpose. We wear the same masks, laugh at the same jokes, and chase the same prizes. It feels warm, it feels safe, it feels like we belong. It is a carefully constructed illusion of peace. Inside this bubble, we find our main character. Let's call him Everyman. He is one of them, smiling just like the rest. He believes what he is told to believe, that happiness is found in money, in status, in the approval of others. He diligently plays his part, chasing the promotions, buying the gadgets, and collecting the validation that society offers as a reward for good behavior. He is a model citizen of this comfortable world, and he has no reason, yet, to question the rules of the game he is playing so well. This world has its own logic, its own system of rewards. Each like on social media is a small dose of acceptance. Each promotion at work is a confirmation of worth. Each new purchase is a temporary shield against the feeling of emptiness. We are conditioned to seek these external rewards relentlessly. They become the metrics by which we measure our own lives and the lives of others. We think we are building a life of value, but we are really just building a more decorated cage, bar by golden bar. The central belief that holds this entire structure together is that ignorance is safety. We think that not asking difficult questions protects us from difficult answers. We choose the comfort of a simple, handed-down map over the challenge of exploring the territory for ourselves. Why risk the pain of discovering you are lost when you can simply trust the signs everyone else is following? This is the core bargain we make. We trade the potential for true self-knowledge for the feeling of security that comes with conformity. It seems like a fair trade. But every comfortable prison is still a prison. The walls are built from the questions we are too afraid to ask. Questions like, is this really what I want? Or, why do I believe this? Or, am I truly happy? Each unasked question becomes another brick in the wall that separates us from our own authentic self. The world inside may be predictable and safe, but the cost is immense. We lose the vast, wild, and challenging landscape of our own soul, trading it for a small, manicured, and utterly lifeless garden. This is the life of the shadows, an idea the ancient philosopher Socrates would have recognized. It is like living in a cave, watching flickering images on a wall, and believing them to be the whole of reality. The prisoners are not held by chains of iron, but by chains of belief. They have accepted the shadows as reality, because it is easier than turning around to face the fire that casts them. It is easier to agree with the other prisoners than to risk being called a fool for seeing something more. For a time, this works. The distractions are potent. The approval of the crowd is intoxicating. The daily race for more and better things keeps the mind occupied and the deeper questions at bay. We can live for years, even decades, in this state of willful slumber, mistaking the stirrings of our own soul for indigestion or stress. We call it real life, and we pity those who don't seem to understand how to play the game. We are convinced we have it all figured out, that our path is the only sensible one. But no illusion can last forever. A crack eventually appears. It might be a moment of quiet, a personal failure, a sudden loss, or a glimpse of genuine beauty that doesn't fit the approved narrative. It's a moment of dissonance, a feeling that something is profoundly wrong. The smiling mask feels heavy for the first time. The cheers of the crowd sound hollow. The polished surface of the comfortable lie begins to splinter, and for the first time, the darkness underneath becomes visible. The unraveling is about to begin. This is where the Socratic method begins, not with an answer, but with a question. A simple, devastating question that pierces through the noise. Imagine a voice, maybe your own, whispering in a moment of silence. But are you truly, genuinely happy? Not comfortable, not distracted, not successful by the standards of others, but happy. The question hangs in the air, demanding an honest answer. It is a key, turning in a lock that has been rusted shut for years. It is the beginning of doubt. The character's smile begins to falter. It is no longer effortless. He has to force it now, and it feels like a strain. He looks around at the smiling, masked people he once found so comforting. But now he sees something else. He sees the tension in their jaws, the hollowness in their eyes behind the joyful facade. He realizes they are all performing, just like him. The sense of shared community evaporates, replaced by a chilling feeling of shared deception. He is more alone now, in the middle of the crowd, than ever before. He looks at the sources of his supposed happiness. His phone, glowing with notifications. His desk, piled high with important work. His expensive possessions, arranged perfectly in his home. But now, they look different. The phone feels like a weight. The work feels like a meaningless cycle. The possessions feel like clutter, like anchors holding him in place. For the first time, he sees the invisible chains that have been there all along, linking him to each of these things, dictating his every move and thought. Socrates taught that to find truth, you must first admit your own ignorance. This is the first painful step. Our character must confront the possibility that his entire map of the world is wrong, that the goals he has spent his life chasing are empty boxes, that the beliefs he held as sacred are just second-hand opinions he never bothered to investigate for himself. This realization is terrifying. It feels like the floor is dropping out from under him. It is the intellectual vertigo of true self-reflection. The fear intensifies, because if your beliefs are wrong, then who are you? Your identity is often built on the foundation of what you think you know. To question your beliefs is to question your very self. This is why we are so afraid of the truth. It's not an abstract concept we fear the personal consequences. We fear the dissolution of the ego, the I that we have so carefully constructed and defended. We would rather live in a comfortable lie as a somebody than face a difficult truth as a nobody. He begins to notice the contradictions everywhere. He sees people talk about freedom while being slaves to their appetites and the opinions of others. He hears them speak of love while acting out of fear and a need for control. He sees himself do the same things. The world, which once seemed so solid and logical, now appears to be a grand stage of hypocrisy. He can no longer unsee the gap between what people say and what they do. This newfound clarity is not comforting. It is deeply unsettling. This is the Socratic gadfly at work, a persistent, annoying insect that stings the lazy horse of society into action. The doubt is that gadfly. It will not let him rest. It buzzes in his ear during important meetings. It stings him when he tries to enjoy his old distractions. The comfortable numbness is gone, replaced by a constant low-grade agitation. He can either try to swat the fly and go back to sleep, or he can finally pay attention to the message it is trying to deliver. He tries to go back, he tries to laugh with the crowd again to find joy in the old routines. But the magic is gone. The food tastes bland. The entertainment feels hollow. The praise sounds like empty echoes. Trying to return to the cave after you've seen a glimpse of the light outside is impossible. The shadows on the wall are no longer convincing. They now look exactly like what they are. Crude, flickering imitations of a reality he has not yet had the courage to fully embrace. The fear of truth is really the fear of being alone. To question the shared illusion is to risk being cast out of the tribe. Humans are social creatures, and the threat of exile is a primal fear. They will call you weird, negative, or crazy. They will say you've changed, and they will not mean it as a compliment. Embracing the truth often means walking a path that others cannot or will not understand. It requires a willingness to stand apart from the warmth and safety of the herd. He now understands that his life has been a performance. He has been playing a character, carefully curated for an audience. But he has forgotten who the actor is behind the mask. The Socratic journey is a journey to meet that actor. It is a process of stripping away the costumes, the learned lines, the stage directions, until all that is left is the authentic self. This process of subtraction is painful. It feels like losing everything. But it is the necessary prerequisite for finding the one thing that truly matters. The anxiety he feels is not a sign that something is wrong with him. It is a sign that something is finally starting to go right. It is the growing pains of the soul. It is the psyche waking up from a long and dreamless sleep. The discomfort is a signal that he is no longer aligned with a false way of living. It is an internal compass, spinning wildly at first, but trying to point him toward his own true north. He must learn to trust this feeling, not as an enemy to be silenced, but as a guide to be followed. He sees his goals not as mountains to be climbed, but as carrots dangled on a stick. The promise of, if only I get this, then I'll be happy, is revealed as a trap. He has been chasing a horizon that recedes with every step he takes. This endless pursuit is what keeps the system running. It keeps him distracted, exhausted, and compliant. The moment he stops chasing the carrot is the moment he reclaims his energy and his attention for something far more important: the examination of his own life. The great fear is rooted in a misunderstanding of what truth is. We imagine it as a harsh, judgmental entity that will condemn us for our past mistakes and foolish beliefs. We picture it as a courtroom where we will be found guilty. But the truth Socrates spoke of is not a judgment. It is a light. Its only function is to reveal what is already there. It does not condemn the darkness, it simply dispels it. The fear is not of the light itself, but of what we might see when it is turned on. He feels a profound sense of loneliness. He tries to share his newfound doubts with his friends and family, but they don't understand. They offer simple platitudes or try to cheer him up, to pull him back into the comfortable illusion. They see his questioning as a sickness that needs to be cured, not as a sign of health. He realizes that this first part of the journey must be walked alone. He must be his own authority, his own source of validation. This is a terrifying and liberating realization. Every day becomes a small test. The temptation to slide back into the old ways is immense. The world constantly beckons with its easy comforts and simple answers. It takes a conscious and continuous effort to remain awake and to keep questioning. It is like swimming against a powerful current. It would be so easy to just stop, to let the current carry him back to the familiar shore. But he now knows that shore is not home. It is just the edge of the cave he is trying to escape. The feeling of being an imposter shifts. Before, he felt like an imposter when he failed to live up to society's standards. Now he feels like an imposter when he pretends to still believe in them. The mask has become unbearably heavy. Wearing it is more exhausting than the struggle of self-examination. The pain of inauthenticity is finally becoming greater than the fear of the truth. This is a critical tipping point. The motivation is no longer just to escape a lie, but to actively seek and embody a truth. He starts to find power in simple, honest admissions. Saying, "I don't know," is no longer a sign of weakness, but a declaration of intellectual freedom. It is the starting point for all genuine learning. By admitting ignorance, he opens himself up to new possibilities, new ideas, and new ways of seeing the world. He stops defending a position he never truly chose and starts to become a humble explorer of reality, both internal and external. This is the first taste of true Socratic wisdom. His senses feel sharper. The world, which had become a gray backdrop for his ambitions, starts to come alive with detail. He notices the texture of a leaf, the taste of water, the sound of the wind. By detaching from the abstract goals of the future, he is becoming more present in the concrete reality of the now. The constant mental chatter about what he needs to get and who he needs to be is quieting down, and in its place, the world is speaking to him directly, without an interpreter. The unraveling is not a collapse into chaos. It is a shedding of the non-essential. It is a controlled demolition of a false structure to make way for something real to be built in its place. The fear was that there would be nothing left, just a void. But he is beginning to suspect that underneath all the layers of conditioning, social pressure, and fear, there is a foundation, a solid ground of being. He has not yet reached it, but for the first time, he believes it is there. The doubt has done its work. It has cleared a space. It has broken the spell of certainty and comfort. The character is now standing in the ruins of his old belief system. He is vulnerable, uncertain, and stripped of his familiar identity. He is ready for the core revelation. He is ready to hear the central truth, not as an intellectual concept, but as a lifeline. The fear is still there, but a new feeling is beginning to emerge alongside it, a desperate, burning curiosity to know what is real. And here is the heart of the matter, the simple, world-changing truth from Socrates that echoes through the ages. The unexamined life is not worth living. This is not a suggestion. It is a fundamental statement about the nature of a human existence. A life lived on autopilot, a life dictated by the assumptions and values of others, is a life that has not been truly lived at all. It is a biological existence, perhaps, but not a human one. The value is not in the living, but in the examining. This is the ultimate reason people are afraid of the truth. To truly examine your life is to take full responsibility for it. You can no longer blame your unhappiness on your boss, your parents, or society. The questions turn inward. Why did I make that choice? What fear was driving me? What belief led me to this place? This radical self-responsibility is terrifying because it is absolute. There is no one to blame and nowhere to hide. Your life is the result of your own unexamined inner world. Think of your mind as a garden. For years, you have let anyone and everyone throw seeds into it. Seeds of fear from the news, seeds of desire from advertising, seeds of belief from your culture. You have never questioned what is growing there. To examine your life is to become the gardener. It means you have to get your hands dirty. You have to pull up the weeds of false belief, even if they have beautiful flowers. You have to decide, for yourself, what you want to cultivate. The truth we fear is not one single brutal fact. It is the light of self-awareness itself. Imagine living your whole life in a messy room, but the lights have always been off. You've gotten used to it. You know where not to step. Turning on the light doesn't create the mess. It simply reveals the mess that was always there. The fear is not of the light, but of the moment of seeing the clutter and realizing you are the one who has to clean it up. This leads to the second great Socratic truth. True wisdom is to know that you know nothing. This is not a call for ignorance. It is the opposite. It is the key to breaking free from the prison of your own certainty. When you are certain you are right, you stop learning. You stop listening. When you accept that your knowledge is limited, you become open, curious, and humble. You trade the fragile pride of the expert for the endless potential of the student. Embracing this idea means you must shatter your own idols. The beliefs you hold most dear, especially about yourself, must be placed on the altar of questioning. Your identity as a smart person, a good person, a successful person, all of these must be examined. Are they true? Or are they just stories you tell yourself to feel safe? The truth doesn't care about your self-image. It demands honesty, and this honesty is a fire that burns away everything that is not essential, everything that is not you. This is a journey from the outside in. Society teaches us to build our identity from external things: our job, our possessions, our relationships, our accomplishments. If any of these things are taken away, we collapse. The Socratic path is to build your identity from the inside out, to find a core of self-respect and integrity that does not depend on anything external, a sense of worth that cannot be given to you by a cheering crowd and cannot be taken away by them either. The fear of truth, then, is the fear of freedom. This sounds like a contradiction, but it's not. The prison of lies is comfortable. The rules are clear. You know what to do to get your reward. True freedom, the freedom that comes from self-knowledge, is terrifying. It means there are no more excuses. You are the author of your own life, the captain of your own soul. The blank page is far more intimidating than the coloring book. By examining your life, you are not seeking to become perfect. You are seeking to become whole. This means accepting the parts of yourself you have been taught to fear or deny. Your anger, your sadness, your ignorance, your shadow. The goal is not to eliminate these parts, but to understand them, to integrate them. A life of truth is not a life without darkness. It is a life where the light of awareness has been brought into the dark places, so they no longer control you from the shadows. The real truth is not a destination. It is a process. It is the moment-to-moment activity of questioning, observing, and being honest with yourself. It is a way of being in the world. The fear is that you are looking for a final, terrifying answer. But the reality is that you are simply learning how to ask better questions. The point is not to arrive at a final, static truth, but to live in a dynamic, ever-unfolding relationship with truth itself. The path is the goal. The courage required is not the courage of a soldier facing a physical enemy. It is a quieter, more profound courage. It is the courage to sit alone in a room and not run from your own thoughts. It is the courage to admit you were wrong. It is the courage to disappoint others in order to be true to yourself. It is the courage to be a beginner, over and over again. This quiet courage is rarer and more powerful than any act of physical bravery. Think of your beliefs as glasses through which you see the world. If the lenses are smudged and distorted, your entire perception of reality will be warped. You won't see the world as it is. You'll see it as your beliefs are. The process of self-examination is the process of cleaning your lenses. It allows you to see clearly, perhaps for the first time. The fear is that you have grown so accustomed to the smudges that you mistake them for the world itself. Once you begin to live this way, you start to see the cage everywhere. You see it in the way people talk, the things they chase, the fears that drive them. But you don't feel superior. You feel a deep sense of compassion. You understand the fear because you have felt it yourself. You see your former self in everyone still trapped in the cave. Your goal is no longer to judge them, but to simply hold your own lantern steady in case they ever decide they want to see the way out. This is the paradox. By admitting you know nothing, you become wise. By embracing your vulnerability, you become strong. By giving up the need for external validation, you find unshakable self-worth. By confronting your deepest fears, you find true peace. The path to the truth is paved with these contradictions. The mind that seeks comfort will never understand them. But the soul that seeks authenticity knows them to be the deepest laws of a meaningful life. The fear of truth is, at its core, the fear of the death of the ego. The ego is the false self, the collection of stories and beliefs we mistake for our identity. The truth is a solvent that dissolves this false self. We are terrified that beneath the ego, there is nothing. But that is the ego's greatest lie. Beneath the ego is your true nature, your authentic self. You must be willing to let the character you've been playing die in order to let the real you be born. This revelation changes everything. The goal of life is no longer accumulation, but excavation. It is not about adding more to yourself, but about chipping away everything that is false. Like a sculptor who sees a statue within a block of marble, your job is to remove the excess stone. The masterpiece is already there, inside you. The work is not in creating it, but in revealing it. The fear is of striking the stone, of making a mistake, of shattering the whole thing. This journey is not about finding a new set of beliefs to replace the old ones. It is about developing the capacity to think for yourself. It is about cultivating an inner bullshit detector. It is about learning to trust your own direct experience of reality over any ideology, any guru, or any crowd. You are forging a sovereign mind. This is the ultimate tool for navigating a complex and often deceptive world. A mind that is free is the greatest treasure one can possess. People fear the truth because they believe it will take things away from them, their comfort, their friends, their identity, and it will. But what it gives back is so much greater. It gives you integrity. It gives you resilience. It gives you a profound and unshakable sense of peace that is not dependent on circumstances. It replaces a life of frantic, fearful chasing with a life of calm, centered being. It is the only fair trade worth making. The core revelation is this: the truth is not something you find out there. It is not a secret password or a hidden treasure. The truth is a way of living. It is the act of aligning your inner world with your outer actions. It is integrity. When you say what you mean and do what you say, you are living in truth. When your thoughts, words, and deeds are in harmony, you are a force of nature. This is the state that the fear of self-examination prevents you from ever reaching. So the fear of truth is the fear of meeting your real self, the unadorned, unmasked, and authentic you. You are afraid you will not be good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. But the Socratic path insists that this self is the only source of genuine goodness, wisdom, and strength you will ever have. The journey has brought our character to the threshold. He has seen the lie. He has understood the truth. Now he must choose how to live. Now comes the hardest part. Understanding is one thing, living is another. The path of transformation is not a single leap, but a million small steps. It is a daily choice. Do I choose the comfortable lie or the difficult truth? Do I choose the approval of the crowd or my own integrity? Do I choose distraction or self-reflection? There are no days off. Every moment is a crossroad, a chance to practice this new way of being, or to slip back into the familiar sleep. He chooses the difficult path. The first steps are brutal. The rocks are sharp, and the incline is steep. His muscles, long unused to this kind of effort, scream in protest. The voices of the crowd echo from below, mocking him, calling him a fool. "Come back," they yell. "It's easier down here." The temptation to listen, to turn back to the easy road, is a constant, physical pull. This is the pain of growth, the friction of transformation. But something remarkable happens. With each painful step, he feels more solid, more real. The struggle is not weakening him, it is forging him. He is no longer a passive passenger in his life, but an active climber. The pain is not a sign of failure, but evidence of his effort. It is a clean pain, a meaningful pain, unlike the dull, chronic ache of his old, inauthentic life. He is trading the pain of stagnation for the pain of ascension. As he climbs higher, the air thins. This means he has to leave behind things that weigh him down. He sheds his need for approval, his attachment to possessions, his fear of being wrong. Each one is like a heavy rock he removes from his backpack and lets go of, watching it tumble down the mountain. He becomes lighter, more agile. He realizes that true strength is not in how much you can carry, but in how much you can let go of. The loneliness of this path is profound. There are no guides, no cheerleaders, no one to tell him he is doing a good job. He must learn to be his own companion, his own source of encouragement. He learns to listen to the silence. In that silence, he begins to hear a voice that was drowned out by the noise of the world, the voice of his own intuition, his own inner wisdom. He is learning to trust himself, which is the most difficult and important kind of trust there is. He looks down from the mountain and sees the highway of the crowd. From this vantage point, he sees it for what it is. It's not a road to happiness, but a loop, a racetrack. The people are running in circles, chasing the same fleeting prizes, ending up right where they started, only older and more tired. He feels no anger or judgment toward them, only a deep sadness and a renewed sense of purpose for his own journey. The struggle becomes a form of meditation, the focus required to place one foot in front of the other, to find the next handhold, quiets the mind. The past and future fade away. There is only the rock, the breath, the body, the next step. This is the practice of living truthfully in the present moment. It is not an abstract philosophy, it is a physical reality. He is not thinking about the truth, he is embodying it with every cell of his being. He realizes that the summit of the mountain is not the goal is the climb itself. The person he is becoming through the act of climbing is the true prize. If he were magically teleported to the top, he would have gained nothing. The meaning is not in the destination, but in the transformation that the journey requires. This understanding frees him from impatience and allows him to find value in the struggle itself, not just in its eventual conclusion. The higher he gets, the clearer the view becomes. The fog of common opinion and cultural conditioning dissipates. He can see the patterns of the world with a clarity that is both beautiful and terrifying. He sees how fear is used to control, how desire is manufactured to sell, how conformity is rewarded to maintain order. This is not a cynical perspective, but a realistic one. It allows him to navigate the world without being a victim of its hidden games. This path does not make life easier. In many ways, it makes it harder. He can no longer enjoy mindless entertainment. He can no longer engage in meaningless gossip. He can no longer pretend to care about the trivial things that occupy the world. But it makes his life simpler. It clarifies his purpose. It gives him a single guiding principle for all his actions. Is this true? Is this authentic? This simplicity is a source of immense power and peace. He finds a new kind of joy. It is not the loud, manic happiness of the crowd. It is a quiet, deep, and resilient joy. It is the joy of a job well done, the joy of a clear conscience, the joy of self-respect. It is the joy of watching the sunrise after a long night of climbing. It does not depend on anything external. It is the natural state of a soul that is finally living in alignment with its own nature. It is quiet, but it is unshakable. He is no longer afraid of being wrong. In fact, he welcomes it. Discovering he is wrong about something is now an opportunity for growth, a chance to get closer to the truth. He has replaced the rigid ego of "I know" with the flexible curiosity of "let's find out." This makes him anti-fragile. Attacks on his beliefs do not shatter him. They make him stronger by forcing him to examine his foundations and rebuild them on firmer ground. The transformation is almost complete. He is not a new person, but the real person who was buried under years of fear and conformity. The process was not one of addition, but of subtraction. He did not gain a new identity, he shed a false one. He looks out at the world not with the eyes of a frightened participant, but with the eyes of a calm observer who has finally come home to himself. He finally reaches the summit. There is no trophy waiting for him, no cheering crowd. There is only the sky, the wind, and the vast, silent panorama of the world below. He has not conquered the mountain. He has conquered himself. He has overcome his fear, his laziness, his need for approval. He has proven to himself that he can choose the difficult, meaningful path over the easy, empty one. This knowledge is his reward, and it is more valuable than any worldly prize. The path of transformation has led him here, from the dark cave of ignorance, through the painful unraveling of doubt, to the core revelation of self-examination, and up the difficult slope of practice. He is a different man. The fear of truth has been replaced by a love of truth. The prison of lies has been traded for the challenging freedom of authenticity. But the journey is not over. Now, he must learn how to bring the wisdom of the mountain back into the world. Now the journey becomes yours. The story of this character is the potential story of every human being. The cave, the questions, the mountain, these are not just metaphors. They are stages of your own consciousness. You live in a world that actively encourages you to stay asleep, to remain a passive consumer of pre-packaged beliefs and desires. It profits from your fear of the truth. It wants you to stay in the comfortable prison of the unexamined life. To accept this lantern is to accept the call to integration. It does not mean you must abandon the world and live on a mountaintop. It means you must learn to live in the world but not be of the world. It means bringing the clarity of the summit into the marketplace, the office, the family dinner. It means acting with integrity even when it is not rewarded. It means being a quiet beacon of authenticity in a world of performance. The first step is to simply start paying attention. Pay attention to your own thoughts without judgment. Why do you believe what you believe? What are you truly afraid of? Start to notice the gap between what you say and what you do. This is not about self-criticism. It is about self-awareness. It is the simple, quiet act of turning the light of your attention inward. This is the beginning of all true change. No one can do it for you. You must be willing to be a beginner. Society rewards expertise and certainty, but the path of truth requires humility. You must be willing to say, "I don't know," not just to others, but to yourself. This creates the space for something new to enter. Let go of the need to be right and embrace the desire to learn. The most profound truths are often hidden behind the door of what we think we already know. This is the Socratic legacy. It is not a doctrine or a set of answers. It is a method. It is a way of using your own mind to liberate yourself. It is the deep understanding that virtue and happiness are not external goods to be acquired. but the natural result of a well-examined, well-ordered soul. Your character, your integrity, is the only thing you truly own, the only thing that cannot be taken from you. It is the one masterpiece you are here to create. So why are most people afraid of the truth? Because the truth demands that we change. It demands that we take responsibility. It demands that we let go of our comfortable illusions and face the terrifying, liberating reality of our own freedom. It is easier to remain a prisoner in a familiar cage than to step into the vast, unknown wilderness of your own potential. The fear of truth is the fear of who you could become. The choice, as always, is yours. You can continue to run, to distract, to conform. You can live the life that has been laid out for you by others. Or you can stop. You can turn around. You can face the shadow. You can begin the difficult, beautiful, and necessary work of examining your own life. You can decide that you would rather be a dissatisfied Socrates than a satisfied pig. You can decide that a life of meaning is worth more than a life of comfort. So dare to ask the questions. Dare to face the answers. Dare to be honest with yourself. For just one moment, what is the one truth you have been avoiding? What is the one lie you have been telling yourself to stay comfortable? The entire journey begins with that single, courageous act of introspection. It is the key that unlocks the door from the inside. Remember that the unexamined life is not worth living. Not because it is evil, but because it is a wasted opportunity. It is a failure to engage with the greatest adventure you will ever be offered, the adventure of knowing yourself. This is your birthright. Do not be afraid to claim it. The world does not need more successful people. It desperately needs more conscious and authentic human beings.